Hi, we're the Jenkins family. I'm Brandy Jenkins.
I'm Justin.
And this is our daughter, Taylor Jenkins, and we would love to share our story with you. Hi, our story begins back in 2001 when we met at Georgia Southern University. We got married, and we then, fast forward, had been married for about 5 years when we decided that it was time to start our family. So we did. We announced the big announcement on Christmas Eve that we were expecting. And at this point, we were very early. We were probably 6 weeks along. So then a few weeks later, we had an ultrasound, and we found out that we were expecting twins, which was a huge surprise, but a very exciting surprise. A few weeks after that, we had, of course, another ultrasound that confirmed that we were also, not only were we having twins, but we were having a boy and a girl. Weeks went along, and everything was going great, and the babies were doing well, and I was doing well. But I recall specifically a call shift, a 24-hour call that I was doing at the hospital in May of 2012, where it was a very busy day. I had done 5 deliveries that morning. I didn't feel well. I think I probably didn't want to admit that, but I did admit it. I came out of the operating room when the C-section was over, and I admitted to one of the nurses that I was not feeling well. And so I then went over for an appointment for myself to check everything out. So I had a visit, and much to my surprise, sadly to my surprise, I was in labor at 26 weeks. So at 6:47 p.m., baby A, Brady, was born. And he was born kicking and screaming. He was 2 pounds, 14 ounces. 10 minutes later, baby B was born, Taylor. And she was pretty stunned. She was not doing very well. She had APGARs of 3 and 6. She turned around a little bit, but they went ahead and ventilated her immediately and got her taken off to the NICU as well and stabilized. And we were given a very, very, very grim prognosis for Taylor. And we sort of prepared for the worst for her. But Brady was doing well.
Both the babies were brought to the NICU, and Brandy was, of course, brought to a recovery room, and unfortunately had some setbacks, and Brandy ended up in the ICU. So I had my 2 babies in the NICU, and my wife was in the ICU. So it was a pretty challenging experience for sure.
But I was able to recover a couple of days later, and we were able to provide support for one another. Taylor turned around quickly and nicely. 24 hours later, she had turned her little self around, and she was kicking and screaming, and she was feeding and growing before we knew it. She was tiny, and she rallied, and she was what we called Brady's cheerleader. Poor Brady, he just hit every bump in the road that you could imagine in a NICU stay. He unfortunately developed a bilateral grade 4 brain bleed, which is very devastating to the brain, needing many interventions. He needed a temporary VAD, which is a ventricular access device, so we could drain spinal fluid, and which then eventually would progress to a permanent VP shunt. 56 days into our NICU stay, our little cheerleader, Taylor, she was discharged home just shy of 36 weeks at a little over 4 pounds, which was scary but exciting. And while that was exciting, it was still hard because we would be leaving our little boy at the hospital. We then had Brady transferred up to Children's Healthcare, up to Eggleston location, where he would have his permanent ventricular shunt placed. And so we prepared for that, and we consented, and Brady went for surgery and had that VP shunt placed. And unfortunately, in surgery, he at some point in his stay, acquired a very bad infection. It was Serratia meningitis. So that led to instability in his vital signs, seizures, and lots of other complications that would come. And we were intervening and providing more medical intervention than I ever imagined for my 3-month-old baby. We made an incredibly difficult decision to move forward after surgery and intervention and poking and prodding to make Brady a DNR, a do not resuscitate. As painful as that was, we felt like we were making the best decision for Brady and for our family and for Taylor. But we loved Brady, and we provided support and palliative care to keep him comfortable. We walked in the garden. We whispered to Brady. We told him we loved him. Our family gathered around. He rallied. He sucked his passy. He was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and we got some beautiful professional photography done.
After about 3 days of getting to hold him and walk with him outside and spend time with him, he passed away.
And Taylor was there. We were there as a family of 4. And we loved him in his last days, in his last breath. But at that point, we decided that because of our 2 miracles, we had Brady, who was our miracle and our angel, and we had Taylor, though, who was here and rallying, and she was a miracle, 2 pounds, 5 ounces, and she was living life, and she was thriving and growing, and she was an absolute miracle. So we needed to make a difference. And we feel so grateful, and we want to thank March of Dimes for allowing us to be a part of your journey, because it has aided in our healing, and it has become such a part of our journey, and we thank you.